guys, welcome back. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make delicious chocolate brownies. Okay, you can see them here. I'm going to make roughly about 20 slices. Now the key ingredients to make chocolate brownies is chocolate, okay? And we're going to be using 70% cocoa solid chocolate bar, and you can see here this chocolate bar. I bought this in Asda for about £1, and it has a 70% mark on it. That's quite important because you need the richness to make a really delicious brownie. Another key ingredient is butter. So you need 250 grams of butter. Now again, it's an awful lot, but you're not eating 20 slices. You also need 250 grams of sugar, 125 grams of plain flour or any flour, and another key ingredient is 4 eggs. Okay, 4 medium-sized eggs. Now I'm going to add walnuts to my brownies because again I like the crunch, and I quite like the texture it gives me in the brownie. But you can add sultanas or walnuts, or you can just leave it plain and just have chocolate. So let's get started. So we've got all our ingredients ready and prepared, and now we have to prepare our tin for the baking of the brownies. So this tin here is 25 by 35 centimetres long. And the first thing you do is you have to grease a little bit of the tin first with some butter and using a little paper towel. And then you have to fit some baking paper or parchment paper into the tin, and then you dredge some flour on top, and that's your tin ready for prepared, ready for the oven. So having prepared the tin, we then have to prepare our chocolate for the brownies. So in here I've broken down 175 grams of the 70% cocoa solid chocolate. Okay, and this is a very simple way of melting your chocolate. You can do it in the microwave, but you have to be really careful. I prefer to do it this way, which is using a pot and adding a little bit of water to it, just a quarter fill with water, and placing the bowl on top. We call this bain-marie style. And I'm going to put that onto the cooker, and I'm going to melt the chocolate very gently. But what you mustn't do is let any of the water get into the chocolate. That's really important. But we're also going to melt all of this butter, 250 grams of butter, into the chocolate, like this, and melt that all together on the cooker. And that is the first stage of cooking and preparing the brownie. So here we have our bain-marie with the chocolate and the butter, and we have to very carefully, we're going to melt the chocolate gently with the butter, and what we have to make sure is that no water from the pot goes into the chocolate. That's really important. So just very gently let that melt down, and mix the butter and into the chocolate, and that should take a couple of minutes. And you can see the gloss that's created from mixing the butter and the chocolate together. So once that's done, we're going to take that back over to the table and let it cool for a little bit, and we're going to start our next process in the making of the brownies. Okay, so our chocolate is melted with the butter and it's lovely, rich and glossy. And now we're going to make the next stage, which is the sugar and the eggs together. So first of all, I'm going to crack 4 eggs into this bowl. Okay, so take your eggs, crack them, whole eggs. These are medium-sized eggs. Okay. Now, once you've cracked your eggs, make sure you get rid of your shells. It's really important from a hygiene point of view that these are away from the table, and then really after preparing eggs you should wash your hands. I think we'll be okay in this occasion. So I'm going to now add a little bit of sugar into this. Okay, I'm going to add half the sugar, and the first thing I'm going to do is we're now going to beat the eggs and the sugar together using a beater. Now if you don't have one of these electric beaters, you can use one of these. This is an old-fashioned balloon whisk. It will take a while, but you can achieve it with this. It involves quite a lot of elbow grease, but it can work with this. Okay, but for speed I'm going to be using one of my electric beaters. So here we go. I'm going to beat the eggs and the sugar together, and the idea is we're going to get them really nice and creamy, and we're going to use all of the sugar, and it should actually sort of rise up to almost nearly the top of the bowl. So it takes a little while. It could take about 5 minutes to get this done, but we're going to beat away. So you're very noisy. Here we go. As you can see, we're still beating the sugar and the eggs together, and you can see it rising up the bowl. There's still a lot of air bubbles in there, so I'm going to be beating again to try and get rid of some of these air bubbles and to try and get as much air into this as possible. So now we have our final key elements to prepare the chocolate brownie. So first of all we have our prepared tray. We have our beaten eggs and beaten eggs and sugar. And then here we have that beautiful rich 70% cocoa solids chocolate and 250 grams of butter. And here we have the 125 ml of flour and some walnuts. So all we're going to do now is take this chocolate and butter. Now remember, this has had time to cool, but when you're at home you must be very, very careful. Oops. You must be very careful when you're lifting this bowl that you use an oven glove or a towel to make sure that you don't have any accidents when you lift it out, because it can still be quite warm. I'm just going to move this pot away. Now what we're going to do is we're going to gently fold in some of this chocolate into the egg, okay? So just fold a little bit in at a time and fold it round and incorporate the chocolate and the butter into the egg and the sugar. Oops. I'm going to bring this bowl forward, folding as you do it, and get all that lovely rich chocolate in there so that none is wasted. Lovely. Now what we're going to do is we're just going to do quarter turns and incorporate the chocolate into the eggs and the sugar, like this. You can see it's getting darker as we mix. Turning. Now all we have to do to finish this off is make sure that all the chocolate is incorporated, and we're going to add our flour a little at a time, okay? And as long as we don't beat it, we still maintain the air that we created with the egg and the beating of the egg and the sugar together. That's quite important. So keep adding all your flour, folding it in. You can see the mixture is still getting darker as we work. Oh, doesn't that look lovely? There we go. Now here we have the correct consistency and the colour for our chocolate brownies. Now I'm confident that everything is mixed through. Here we go. Now I'm going to add the walnuts. Now at this stage, if you don't want to add walnuts, it's absolutely fine. What I've done is I've chopped some of these walnuts up. I like the crunch and the texture. You might prefer not to have any, it's up to yourself. And here we go. So that's us ready. The mixture is now ready to put into our tin. So I'm just going to move this all over. Get rid of that, put down, bring our tray forward. And I'm going to pour this mixture, starting at the centre, into my tray. Like this, and you can use your spatula, which I'm just going to get in a second, to make sure all your mixture is out of the bowl. And these are magic, these things are kind of made of soft plastic, and they can gather up all the mixture. to make sure. And this will make a 20 beautiful brownies, which I'm going to prepare, and then I'm going to plate up for you with some strawberries and ice cream. There we go. So this mixture is now ready to go into the oven, and it goes into the oven at 160, a preheated oven at 160 degrees centigrade, gas mark 3, and it's going into the oven for 25 minutes. Now don't be afraid if it's still quite gooey, because it will still continue to cook when it comes out of the oven. So in it goes, 160, gas mark 3 for 25 minutes. So here we have our chocolate brownie. It's had 25 minutes in the oven, 160 remember, gas mark 3 for 25 minutes. So this tray is 35 centimeters long, 20 wide. So what I'm going to do is I want 5 portions along the way. So I'm going to do kind of every 7 centimeters. I'm just going to mark out, and I want 5 of these along the piece. Now you don't want to overcook your brownies, so if it's still a bit stodgy and a bit sticky in the middle, that's absolutely good. And I want 4 along, so I'm going to go, so there's half, do half first, and then half again, and half again. Okay, so that's our brownie portioned. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so that's 20 slices.